water. No? Our recommendation is that if you can allow third-party vendors into the system to get non-proprietary products and supplies, then it's much better for you. No? One temptation that is easy to fall into is to require franchisee to get everything from you. No? O sige, you get the food from me, you get the tissue, you get the cleaning materials, you get everything. No? You get the pest control items, and then you charge markup. No? So that will boomerang in the end, no? Because you need to be able to get all these, and it should be available when your franchisees need it. If you require them to get from you and it's not available when they need it, then basically you're in violation of the agreement yourself. You're in breach. No? So it doesn't make sense for you to be in breach of your agreement because of pest control supplies. No? So avoid that. Avoid that temptation. No? Of course, if you are able to even if it's non-proprietary, but you're able to get a good price because of volume, and you pass on savings to your franchisees, and you're able to sell it at market price or even lower, then by all means, no, go ahead, do that. Pass on the value to your franchisee. Okay. The other source of revenue would be services. Your franchisee, for example, will go on vacation and they will not be at the store for 1 month, and they ask you, can you send a store manager to run the store while I'm away? So you can charge for your manager's time. No? Advertising fees. One of the regular payments made by franchisees are advertising fees. No? There's corporate fees and local fees. Okay. Corporate fees are like royalty. They're a percentage of sales, and they're paid to you to fund your marketing and your advertising expenditures. No? So you can use this to get an ad agency, to get a billboard, to get an endorser, and so on. No? Actually, we've seen one of the trends we've seen recently is that many of the business owners are their own endorsers. No? They put their own face on their billboard and their products. No? So before, the only people who were in billboards and ads were movie stars or professional athletes. But I guess now, if you want to be on a billboard and you don't know how to sing, dance, act, and hindi ka artista, and you can just, open your own business and then endorse your own product. So they pay for that. No? Your franchisees will contribute to a system-wide marketing fund. No? So they might pay, for example, 2% or 1% of sales to you every month, and you collect all those and you pay for advertising. No? So if that's 50 branches, 100 branches, even if it's 1 or 2%, that's a lot of money. So you can use that to build your brand even more. Local advertising is also a percentage of sales, but it's not remitted to you as a franchisor. Local advertising fee is spent on local advertising and local store marketing. Okay, so for example, you will require a franchisee to spend 1% of sales every month on local store marketing. So that means putting up lamppost banners in the area. That means sponsoring the local barangay basketball team. That means marketing within their own vicinity. No? You are responsible for the system-wide marketing, the one that's visible to a larger public, bigger reach. But your franchisee is required to spend local store marketing in the community. Okay. There's also co-op advertising fees, and this is where it's in the middle. No? Sometimes your franchisees might decide, or you might suggest to your franchisees to have an activity or a marketing activity that will benefit only them. No? For example, franchisees in Baguio might decide to bring in a band from Manila and have a concert to benefit the stores in Baguio. So since only those franchisees will benefit, then they contribute to that local activity. It's not charged to all the franchisees. Okay, so the next important document that you need is a franchise agreement, no? As I mentioned earlier. And these are some of the most common provisions found in a franchise agreement. Okay? As in any contract, you need to specify the term. How long is the franchise for? Is it 5 years? Is it 20 years? And related to that is the renewal. Okay? So if the franchise fee, if the franchise is for 15 years, I might have renewal periods every 3 years. Okay? So five renewals of 3 years each. Okay. So and it's important to have a renewal period because it allows you to review the relationship and decide if you're going to renew or to move forward. If you just say it's 15 years and you don't have renewal periods, it will be very difficult to have those evaluation points. No? For example, it will be, even if your franchisee is in violation of the franchise agreement, it's very difficult to terminate them. But if you have a renewal period that's coming up, then you can decide, okay, based on the violations, which are substantial, we will decide not to renew your agreement anymore. No? So it's much easier than to try to terminate them, even if for due cost. No? Also, it allows you to put in new requirements before you move forward. For example, many of you do your renovation and store upkeep at certain points, no? Maybe every 3 years. For boutiques, maybe every 4 or 5 years, or even sooner. So the renewal periods are a good point in time to require that of your franchisee as a condition for renewal. Okay? So if you didn't have renewal periods, it will be very difficult for you to require a franchisee to spend money on renovation. No? You might say, oh, I don't have any money for renovation. I just opened the store, or I just opened the store 5 years ago, magre-renovate na naman ulit. So if that's a condition for renewal, then you can require that they do renovation before you grant renewal for another period. Okay. Some other common provisions are territory. So like I mentioned, this is very contentious, and this is the source of a lot of disputes. No? So your franchise agreement should be specific about what constitutes your franchisee's territory or trading area. Do they have exclusivity or not? No? In the past, the way that territories were given were based on distance. No? So you would find in franchise agreements, I give you a 1 kilometer territory, okay, that nobody else can open. But the problem with that is that, especially in big cities, in very dense cities, 1 kilometer is a big market already. Like I mentioned earlier, in that area of Mega Mall and Galleria and all that, there's so many malls within that 1 kilometer. So if you only grant one franchise, one unit in that area, then your hands are tied. No? There's a big market, but you can only grant one franchise. So more recently, what we've been doing is also factor in population, and when it's a mall franchise, the trading area, we specify that when it comes time, when the market is large enough that there's another unit that can be opened, then we will just give rights of first refusal to the existing franchisee. Okay? So for example, in Mega Mall alone, there are, I think, 4 Jollibees. No? So if there's only one, if they're bound by a contract to grant only one franchise, then sayang yung market. No? They could have had as times for sales, no, than just one unit. So those are some things to think about in terms of territory. Of course, the contract should be specific about the fees. No? What are the fees that should be paid to you? When should it be paid? What happens if it's not paid on time? And in terms of royalty, there's even some provisions to discourage understatement of royalties. For example, one provision that can be put in there is that if it's found that the franchisee understates their sales by 5% or more, then that can be grounds for immediate termination. No? This is to discourage them from trying to get away with paying less royalties than what is due to you. There should be provisions about training. What are the training that they have to undergo? Who has to undergo it? If the owner will be involved in the day-to-day, they should undergo training for operations. If not, then they have to designate who the person is in charge of operations, and that person should successfully pass training. What happens when your franchisee wants to sell the business? No? For example, after so many years, they decide, I just want to get out of the business, so I want to sell. Okay? So there should be provisions in the agreement as to what you require when that happens. Usually, you should require your franchisee to give you rights. You have rights of first refusal. No? So if your franchisee wants to sell, they should offer it to you first. And if you decide to forego that right, that's the only time they can look for another buyer. But the buyer that they bring to the table has to pass your qualifications as well. No? So they can't just sell it to anybody who has the money. When they applied for the franchise in the first place, they had to undergo extensive scrutiny, whether you'll be a good fit with them, whether you can work with them. So the person they're transferring to should also likewise be as qualified, if not more. Okay, there should also be mechanism for resolving disputes in the franchise agreement. So what happens when there is disagreement? And you should expect that, If you're in business with the franchisee, chances are